Today we're going to talk about how copying competition is a deadly sin. Why it's a deadly sin? Because nothing good ever happens from it. Copying, blindly copying means you don't think about it, what's going on. It may be easy to try to copy, to think about copying a success story and say, I'm just going to copy paste the success story and it's going to work out for me. Even if I do 0.5% of success rate of the competition, it's still going to be okay. I'm fine with it. But it's not as simple as that. Let me tell you a personal story. I had a website going on for an area of law practice, and I was doing pretty good. But I didn't want it to be too good. I didn't want it too bad, so I was doing pretty good. And then something came. The three guys decided that independently they would copy my website. So what they did, they came to my website, they selected the whole paragraph, the whole text, and they copied and pasted to their website. What happened was they didn't notice that in between this text there was a link to a file on my server with my details on it. So what happened is that the visitors to their website who actually tried to read it and clicked on that link got my details on that document. That was the first deadly sin mistake they made. The second deadly sin mistake came later. You see, Google changed the algorithm and they kind of knew that they copied my website. That means that Google decided that my website was more authoritative, more compliant, more better than theirs because people were starting copying it. So it pushed my website way up on the search engine. So much up that I didn't like it. I started to investigate what was happening. And then I noticed what happened. Three guys copy pasted the whole thing on their website. One guy tried to mimic it, tried to edit a bit, but he wasn't doing a pretty good job. He took like 5 minutes and it was a 6 paragraph text. Two guys didn't even bother to do that. They just copy pasted, just plain simple. Nothing changed. And of course, that happened. Their website got down and my website got up. Don't copy the competition. Why not? Because you don't know how the competition got there. You don't know which failures, which experience, which skills, which resources are they gaining, are they had to got to that point. That doesn't mean you should check on the competition. That doesn't mean you should check what they're doing, but never blindly copy. When I started my law practice, there haven't been much law practice in Slovenia that had a really good website. There were websites like we are here and you can call us at here. But most of the websites didn't have any much more text. Some had photographs of the lawyers, most didn't. And I could argue that it were like five law practice. What I did was I wrote about the problems a bit. I wrote a blog post. I didn't provide answers because that was sacrilegious anyway, but I provided thinking grounds. I provided starting thinking points, what to think about, what to question, what to ask, what kind of documents and facts need to be certain before an answer could be given. What is actually the legal analysis going on? So I gave some information, more than my competitors, lots more than my competitors. What happened that people liked that? People before it was too mysterious that we were kind of hiding something from them. But now they read something and they could ask actually better questions. They came to me prepared. They came to me with better facts. Sometimes they even tried to manipulate the case by reading, but it was really nonsense because I kind of knew it really quick. But most of the times I had better clients because they knew how I thought. They knew how I had written the text. And I like this guy. I like the way how he writes. And they came and it was a perfect market service provider fit. And what I benefited, and in time, there were other lawyers that copied the essence of what I was doing. It was nothing new because the people have been doing in other sectors for a long time. But I kind of liked it because They grew and I grew and I checked what they were doing and they checked what I was doing. And we kind of grew all together. Sometimes I didn't like what they were doing. I said, I'm not going to do that. Sometimes I liked it a lot. I said, no, perhaps I'm going to check that out. Sometimes they did something stupid. Didn't work out. Sometimes I started thinking about it. You know, it all goes to say, don't copy it. Check what the competition is doing, but don't copy it. And even looking at it now, most of the law practices in Slovenia don't have a website, at least not in the sense that it's worth calling it a website. But more and more have it, and more have actually normal websites where there's at least some text in it, not just we're the law firm, we're the best, and whatever. But I see even now, if I started now, there was a huge opportunity. There was a huge gap between what a normal, standard, average lawyer would do for their website and what an above average, somebody who would be in the search results above average on the first two pages would do. And it's just weird how people are blindly following some norms, blindly following something that has been done for centuries, not questioning why it has been done such a way. Because people have changed. Even retirees now Google. They send mails. They check the Google for answers. Nobody walks around and finds an attorney by walking around and seeing what his best position or location is. Now people Google and see what he writes, whether he's mentioned somewhere. Perhaps there's a picture of him. Perhaps there's a video of him. That's how they decide. They want more information, they more media. Of course, for some I will be more sympathetic. For some will like the way how I talk. For some they will hate it. That's normal. But at least they get to decide. Because if you're the lawyer 355 without a picture, without a video, without a text, they cannot decide whether they like you or not, because they have nothing to see. And they can say as much as they want, that they would rather somebody who didn't write anything. But fact is, they do. Of course, they can say they don't like that their lawyer writes a lot or writes a blog post or a book or a story or does a YouTube post. But the fact is, they do. They do like it because they get to know him and they get to brag and say, look, that's my lawyer. He's really good. He's really smart. That's why I hired him. And people like to brag. People like to brag. I'm not allowed to brag what cases I'm taking or not. That's against the lawyer's ethics. But people like to brag, and they can brag if they want. What I can do is write about specific situations. I can write about an abstract idea. I can write about an abstract situation, but I cannot write that John Mary did something. That's against the law. But people like stories, and lawyers have always been surrounded by a kind of mystery. And living in that past of mystery is long gone. Now there's a mistrust stemming from that. Now we need to work even more. So blindly copying the competition is a bad sin, because you don't get to understand the logic why the competition is doing something. And most of the time, the competition is not very good. If you are setting a competition for the best, that's another issue. But most of the time, the competition is only average, and you don't want to be average. You want to set your eyes on the best, and you want to study them really hard. You need to understand why they are doing something, not just how. And even how is better than just blindly copy pasting. Blindly copying the competition is a disaster recipe. But checking out the competition is usually a must. You can have to check out what they're doing, but that doesn't mean you should change your actions. It just means you're paying attention where others are. If they're all flocking to a fire, there's crowd there probably. Now, whether that crowd means more money or less money, That's a question you need to decide for yourself. But you know there's crowd. You know there's a lot of people there, a lot of service provider. What you need to decide, are there also a lot of clients there? That's another question. And sometimes they are not. I can tell you that there are lots of lawyer registers where all get sucked in like fireflies to light, and you see, if this competitor is there, I must be too, and I'm gonna pay $2,000. And in fact, that $2,000 does never cover itself because it's so ineffective. Whereas a simple TV interview costs you nothing but half an hour of time, and it can get you more exposure. Depends what you're doing, it depends what you want. But you should always think about it. You should always consider that blindly copying is a sin, and thinking hard while your competition is doing something, and if it's successful for them, is another thing. You should also be careful because sometimes the competition can be walking a bit in the dark area, not just gray area, and it can be leading to a fine. Not just on one occasion, I've seen people going and following blindly in the competition into an area where they had to pay several $1,000s of fines because they breached the law, all because they blindly followed one another. You know, take care and think about it. Take care. Why are they doing it? Is it worth it? Are there any signals? Can I try it without risk? Those are the questions you need to be asking. Blindly copying is not the way.